Alrighty, I have a pretty packed construction update for you, but I don't want to overhype you, so it's not packed with anything juicy like vertical construction. But we're gonna talk about vertical construction in this update, and you're gonna want to pay attention because things are getting really exciting. But as you can see here, some new track has arrived, but track shipments have definitely slowed down. The company that is in charge of vertical construction that won the contract is now on site getting ready for vertical construction. So you're going to see evidence of that as we walk through the park, but just wanted to pre-show you on the drone. They were marking all the footings with the spray paint of the column that's going to connect to them. So it'll be section 159. And then you'll see the footing sprayed with 159. So they know where that support column is going to go. Based off of what we've seen, actually, I'll wait and hold off and I'll show you when we get into the park. But as you see here, track shipments were arriving. There was a bit of a false alarm. The truck heading into the park actually just made a mistake, and this is where it was heading. But don't worry, trucks will be heading into the park this week coming. I'm almost certain of it. I know I keep saying Monday, but in full seriousness, you'll see in a second why Monday looks pretty promising, at least Monday or Tuesday this week coming. As you can see here, scaffolding has arrived along with these cinder blocks. This is going to be for inside the mountain, for building the tunnel and the maintenance area. So those cinder blocks are for that maintenance area / launch tunnel. But yeah, that's pretty exciting. So all the scaffolding has been arriving. I do have confirmation that all the footings are done outside of the mountain. So they still have a few in the launch path directly underneath Wonder Mountain's Guardian that they have to dig, and the ones in the Halloween Haunt entrance. So as you see here, there's those markings I was talking about. They also come with those little almost square bricks. That is for vertical construction. So they're spacers, if you want to give a quick definition of what they are. It's spacers for vertical construction, but they are ready to go. It looks like all the footings, even the station area, the brake run area, all the way out towards the almost where the ride's going to come down out of that first element. They're all marked ready to go as well. And then heading into the mountain is all marked up as well. So definitely that first portion of the ride that we've been waiting to see signs for, there are signs for vertical construction. This little building across from Tiny Tom's has been completely gutted. To be honest, I can see them utilizing it for some sort of store for AlpenFest, or maybe a little tiny concessionary stand for AlpenFest, something along those lines. It could just end up being an AlpenFest themed game. I really hope they don't bring the arcade games back. I am getting really sick and tired of seeing arcade games spread across Canada's Wonderland in every nook and cranny. It's actually getting so overdone and overutilized, and it's just ugh. I hate it. But as you can see here, they're digging out the trench. They have it all marked for where the footings are going to go for that trench formation. Those cinder blocks can also be for that. In the parking lot, there is also those massive river stone, whatever they're called, cobblestone. That'll be for this area as well. But inside the mountain, still a lot of work to do. So we'll have to wait and see, but it's still really exciting. Again, I do want to point out one thing though. Track shipments have slowed down. We were in a 2-week holiday, so that could be why. We only have, if I had to make a rough estimate and not a statistic from the park, so please keep that in mind, it looks like they have maybe a week or two's worth of track currently on site for vertical construction. So that's the only alarming part about this project is, yes, we are waiting for vertical construction to start, but we also don't necessarily have enough track and supports on site for a lot of work to move forward. So you're going to want to see a lot more track and supports arriving this week, hopefully. So that's something that I'm going to be keeping an eye on. This is where you're going to want to head over to Patreon. There'll be daily updates on Patreon, almost daily updates with vertical construction on Patreon. You'll still get your weekly update here on YouTube. But yeah, nonetheless, I'm trying to think if there was anything else in terms of AlpenFury. I know that, again, the footings for the final part of the launch are not done, and the first element are not done for AlpenFury, so they still have to do that. So they're going to have to... I'm really curious how they're going to do the footings in the Halloween Haunt, the Ruins entrance, because that's a really small corridor that can only fit like 2 people side by side. So very curious how they're going to do that. But here's a glimpse inside the tunnel. A lot of those, you can see some of those cinder blocks right there. The scaffolding all set up as well. And just a lot of that steel framing in there, those I-beams. So again, it's a mess in there. Truthfully, if you're looking in there, it's almost like the beginning part of a construction. So again, no one can sit here and give you a concrete date of when they think this coaster is going to open. For anyone that works in construction or works on projects and all that, if Wonderland really wants to get this thing open, they can pay to get it open. So there is those alternatives where Wonderland can hire more foremen, more like crane operators. They can have 2 teams going on one end and working their way in, however they want to do it. I have learned that there's going to be an interesting development in terms of how they build this coaster that's different from building B&Ms. So you're going to see them put in the support columns, and you're going to see them just like bolt all the support columns, and then they're going to have to go back and re-bolt everything. So that's pretty interesting. You're going to see a lot of double work going on in terms of the steel erection. So we'll have to, again, that'll be interesting to see. There are some new survey markings appearing on Wonder Mountain's Guardian. I don't know if this is for surveying for the fire effect. It could be anything. Again, surveying needs to get done anytime they're changing anything. It could be for the future dark ride that's going to be inside the mountain. When it comes to Time Warp, what do I think is going to happen with it? Well, we all see the Cedar Fair Parks, Six Flags Parks announcing ride removals in the chain. We all know that Wonderland is probably going to partake in that, although Wonderland's been showing a lot of signs of upgrading a lot of their attractions. I am really curious about drop towers. So there are parts here for drop towers, more specifically pods 1, 3, and 5, I believe. There is a PLC system or supercapacitor right there on the screen, that giant gray box with the red ladder up against it. So that is either a supercapacitor or a PLC system. That is not enough to be, that is not enough power for our launch coaster, but it could be for the station of AlpenFury. There are parts here for AlpenFury, but there are also parts here for drop towers. So it's been very confusing to figure out which crate is for what. There is also 3D printer parts in this storage area. So it's been very hard to look up all the shipping labels and figure out where they've come from, which company. We have the company that is responsible for supplying parts for Wonderland, especially their launch and magnetic attractions at Canada's Wonderland. Those fins back there have been the most confusing because they look like AlpenFury's LSMs, but they're black. We don't typically see black LSMs on any launch coaster out there. They're typically white. So with our zoom cameras, we were like, okay, well, maybe they're just wrapped in something and it's white underneath. Well, it doesn't look like it based off of what we've zoomed in on. These 2 specific cases are what look like magnetic brakes or fins for the back of drop towers carts, those specific cases. But these definitely look like LSMs. Do you not agree? So that's been the most confusing part, because it looks like they just got one big shipment from the company that supplies a lot of their magnetics and launches and electronics for their rides. So we're still going through all those shipping boxes and figuring out what's for what. So I'll have to update you guys on a later video, but it definitely looks like those are LSMs, and the only coaster that is going to use LSMs is going to be AlpenFury. So I guess we're going to have black LSMs on AlpenFury. But again, I want to just figure it all out before I make a solid statement on that. Anyways, thanks so much for watching. Have a good one, guys. Bye.